I'm just going to go across now to NDTV's Arvind Gunasekara. Arvind, the gun carriage now well on its way to Brar Square. It should be reaching Brar Square in about 20 minutes or so from now. Give us an idea of what we expect after it arrives.
Yeah, Vishnu, what we are hearing is that it has already entered the Delhi cantonment area, and we can expect the gun carriage carrying the mortal remains of General Bipin Rawat and his wife Madhulika Rawat reaching the Brar Square in some 10 to 15 minutes, well ahead of time. That's what the security personnel here are indicating. So the moment the mortal remains reach here, the cremation ground, we can expect the funeral ceremony to begin. So like we have been reporting, from 3:30 to 4:15, it will be wreath-laying by all the dignitaries, by all the persons here, including the family members. We are also seeing, at least we saw a dozen foreign dignitaries also arriving here to pay their respect to General Bipin Rawat. So till 4:15, it will be the respects from the people who are here. So after which, from 4:15 to 4:30, the funeral, the rituals of the family will take place, and 4:45 is the time that has been given for the funeral with the 17 gun salute. So here what we are seeing is that all the three services from Army, Navy and Air Force, they have come, all the personnel, they are already standing in line as per their own protocol. So the moment the mortal remains, the gun carriage carrying the mortal remains reaches here, we can expect the military honor that to start from here, and then it will be taken inside. So we could see the visuals here. Even now we are seeing almost people coming. Every minute we are seeing a car with either from the defense service or with the foreign dignitaries coming here. So it's a packed ground here with almost more than 500 people have already arrived here in this entire area. What we are seeing now, even on the along the road from Kamraj Marg to cantonment area, we could see it's roads filled with roads filled with people waiting to pay respect to the deceased personnel, including General Bipin Rawat. So shortly from now, in a matter of 5 to 10 minutes, we can expect the gun carriage to arrive here.
All right, and how long does the ceremony itself go, Arvind?
Vishnu, what we are seeing now is the former Union Minister Rajyavardhan Rathod, he has also arrived here. So the ceremony here, as per the protocol, as per the schedule that has been given here, so from 3:30 to 4:15 it will be the wreath laying, from 4:15 to 4:30 the rituals, and by 4:45 is the pyre that will be led by the family members with the 17 gun salute. So everything will be over by 4:45 p.m. Vishnu.
All right, Arvind, we'll keep coming back to you. So we've got images coming in on the right-hand side of the screen from Brar Square. That's where the mortal remains of General Bipin Rawat are being brought. Just a short distance away already. Let's bring that map up again so that we can show the route which has been followed. We're just a short distance away from Brar Square now. This is close to this is a part of the cantonment area that you actually see over here now, part of the ring road itself, north of Dholakwa, where the gun carriage has now been brought. Road access closed for normal traffic to enable this to actually pass through smoothly. And as you can see, there are so many people who've lined up on the sides of the road to pay their final respects to General Bipin Rawat. Of course, it's not a public, the final rites, the cremation itself is closed. While it will be broadcast, there will be only armed forces personnel and select dignitaries who will in fact be over there to pay their respects. It will not be opened up for others, but it will be broadcast, and we will be broadcasting to you what takes place inside. It's going to be a solemn ceremony, a beautiful ceremony. It'll end up with a 17 gun salute as the pyre is lit. Remember, General Bipin Rawat leaves behind two daughters. Very sadly, his wife Madhulika Rawat was also killed in this helicopter crash. Earlier today, his principal staff officer, Brigadier Leader, was cremated at the same Brar Square where this gun carriage is now being moved. And the process of identifying the mortal remains, or identifying the mortal remains of the others who actually died, that's actually going to take place in a little while from now. I beg your pardon, that's actually going to be taking place over the next couple of days, because it's not been easy whatsoever. It's been extremely difficult. We'll continue to bring you reactions to what you actually see over there. I recall the last time when we saw so much attention being given to a military ceremony like this was when the former Marshal of the Indian Air Force, Arjan Singh, was cremated. He was also brought to this area, and the Brar Square area where he was cremated. On the left hand side you can see the casket being removed from the residence of General Bipin Rawat a little while earlier on, about an hour or so back, being placed on that gun carriage, and then slowly that gun carriage moved out. And on the right hand side you can actually see the gun carriage with flowers and the casket of carrying the mortal remains of General Bipin Rawat. It is such a sad day for not just people across the country, but it is a sad day for the family members who have lost so much. And you can see a lot of people actually joining along that route, and it's a long route, it's not a short route. So different parts of the route you see people actually coming in, flying the flag, joining in to show they want to be a part of this entire process.
नारे लग रहे हैं, भारत माता की जय के नारे लग रहे हैं, और लोगों के उद्गार पुष्पांजलि और श्रद्धांजलि के माध्यम से सामने आ रहे हैं। देश की सेना को आधुनिकीकरण का जामा पहनाने में सीडीएस जनरल बिपिन रावत का अमूल्य योगदान, जो आधुनिक रूप है भारतीय सेना का, उसमें अनमोल योगदान, साथ ही एक पारदर्शी व्यवस्था के वे पक्षधर थे और मजबूत संवाद के पक्षधर भी। हाथों में तिरंगा उठाए देशवासी देश के सच्चे योद्धा को श्रद्धांजलि दे रहे हैं, पुष्पांजलि अर्पित कर रहे हैं। पुष्प वर्षा होती हुई उनकी अंतिम यात्रा में हिस्सा बने हैं, वे पुष्प भी आज गौरवान्वित होंगे। भारत माता के सच्चे सपूत की अंतिम यात्रा के अवसर पर ये पुष्प इस यात्रा का हिस्सा बने हैं। समंदर है, भावनाओं का समंदर है, उद्गार है, आवेग है, एक ऊर्जा भी है। वाहनों का ये काफिला, लोगों की भीड़ आगे बढ़ती हुई, हाथों में तिरंगा, दिल में दुख है लेकिन
we expect the gun carriage to actually reach Brar Square. This is just a few minutes away from Brar Square, well inside Delhi cantonment, and then there'll be more the real ceremony actually would start when the casket of General Bipin Rawat is removed from that gun carriage. It will be taken inside the crematorium where the military ceremony will take place. There's a train track which is there, a part of the Delhi cantonment. They just crossed over that, and it shouldn't be more than a few hundred meters more from what I remember to the crematorium where the final rites will take place. There's a beautiful and absolutely stunning war memorial which you can actually see on the right hand to the left of the truck. Those are the walls of that war memorial on one side, but it's just the final journey now which is taking place, and this is the Delhi cantonment area. All of these are military institutions, military structures, buildings, residences, regimental centers in a large part of Delhi in the Dholakwan region, and this is just very much the final journey of the late Bipin Rawat, General Rawat, India's first Chief of Defence Staff, who was killed in a horrific helicopter crash with 13 others day before yesterday in the Kunnur region of Tamil Nadu. He was on a Mi-17 V5 helicopter on his way from Coimbatore, the Sulur Air Force Base, to Wellington, which is where he was supposed to address students at the Defence Services Staff College, which is where those officers who have been shortlisted for future senior command roles are actually study, and that's where an army chief or a navy chief or an air force chief, or in this case a chief of defence staff, would actually address them, inspire them, talk to them, and talk about the issues key to leadership in this country. That's what General Rawat was on his way to do. Mrs. Madhurika Rawat was also with him. Now the helicopter they were flying in flew into a fog or a cloud. This we know as a fact because amateur video of this, which was released yesterday online, that's been verified. It's not been denied at all. It appears to be a confirmation of the last moments of the helicopter. So the helicopter itself enters a cloud, and moments later the sound of the rotors of the helicopter ends, and that appears to coincide with the crash of the helicopter, which we can't see in that video. General Rawat is believed to have been alive at the time of this crash, along with two others, but he didn't make the journey to the hospital. He was killed shortly after, he died shortly after that crash. General Lidder, his principal staff officer, was cremated earlier this morning. He was also one of those who was pulled out of the wreckage of that helicopter He didn't survive. Neither did a third individual. The third individual, I beg your pardon, did survive. Group Captain Varun Singh of the Indian Air Force, who is now fighting for his life at that command hospital in Bengaluru. So the final journey of General Bipin Rawat. On the right hand side, the images you see on the left hand side are actually a repeat. It's from a little while earlier on in the journey. That's when they enter the Delhi cantonment area, but since then the motorcade has moved further, and I expect them to actually go into the crematorium area in a little while from now. General Sanjay Meston joins us. Sir, this is such a sad occasion. The final rites of India's first Chief of Defence Staff will be starting in a little while from now. Your thoughts about what's going to take place, what's going to transpire?
Vishnu, sorry, I just could not hear you. Please, just once again.
So your thoughts on what's going to transpire now? It's such a sad day for the armed forces and many in the country.
Yeah, Vishnu, is definitely such a sad day. But also I would now look at the optimism. It's also a matter of honor and a very honorable day for India. I think today the people of the country stand united, and that too behind a army general who has been the people's general or the nation's general. And what I see, I think probably since my childhood till date, I have never seen such kind of a procession for anyone, maybe. And especially for anyone in the armed forces, it is rare. And the way people of India have today come all along and from all parts of the country. And, I was watching the moment the procession started from the house. Some youth, hats off to them, salute to these guys. They have been running along with the cavalcade since then. It is amazing. I think General Rawat and Mrs. Rawat and the other 12 people who have died, I think 11 who have died, total 13. I think they have united the country, and even more than any political leader, really. But as a soldier, I can say I am also stunned, amazed as to what is the love of the people for the Indian armed forces. And I think now the future is, I see a lot of people are going to volunteer for joining the Indian armed forces, the 3 services. And I think the Indian Army today will have to speed up its recruitment and all these kind of things. People are really enamored by the Indian Army and by the sacrifices. And today the kind of things they have watched, even in the morning, brigadier leaders, the entire procession and the funeral, it is going to motivate the youth, because to be draped in the national colors with the Tiranga, I think it is a dream come true for so many, though no one wants to die, but this is a most valiant death. And General Rawat, he has served this country with utmost devotion, that even he has been in uniform when this tragic accident has happened. So be in the uniform, which we take so much of pride in. All soldiers take pride in the uniform, in their medals. And I think he, in his death, or if you look at the positive side, it's a united India today. And I think these images being shown by all the channels, by every channel, is making a lot of impact. And I think on Twitter and everywhere, it's an impact. The country is united. Yeah. And I personally feel Prime Minister of India, Honorable Prime Minister Mr. Modi, is really going to miss him. I think what a brave and a strong and a bold leader he was. And he had the courage of conviction to speak up to the top leadership and convey the viewpoint, and which was deeply respected. I even admire the political brass and even the bureaucratic and the diplomatic brass. I think they also respected General Rawat's vision, his ideas, his strategic vision. And he was a thinking general. I think he's made an impact in the entire country. And it's going to be a big loss for the nation, and including, I think, the NSA and Defense Minister and the Prime Minister are going to miss his advice, and they will appoint a CDS. But I wonder if anyone can fill up these shoes, the kind of personality, charismatic person he was, including Mrs. Rawat. Rarely to find such a lovely couple. And for me, it's a very, very great loss, because we were really family friends. It started from a professional front, when he was commanding the Southern Army, and I was his Major General Operation Logistics as his Principal Staff Officer. I think a professional relationship turned into a personal and thereafter to a family relationship. To the extent he had attended my son's wedding also. And these are, my whole family was so much touched. And today everyone is watching with rapt attention, giving so much respect and honor. And today I feel proud to be part in your channel and so many others one, that I can say something for my esteemed general and his wife. Vishnu, is really tragic.
No, it is very tragic. But sir, let's also spare a thought for the others whose mortal remains have not even been identified. You know, it's something which a lot of you in the armed forces have been trained to know, that, you know, there may be a situation when this happens. In war, bodies are often not identified. But for others across the country, that's horrific. How have you been programmed in your mind to know that this is a reality when there's a crash, an accident, or in war, that mortal remains sometimes are just not identified?
Vishnu, absolutely true. Actually, this is a very, very big problem. And I remember when my whole battalion was in Siachen Glacier, I think there were 3 odd officers. Of course, I was not in the battalion then, but there was a fire, and on the glacier itself, 3 officers, they unfortunately got, they just died, perished in a fire. It was a big problem, and one of the officers, his father was a retired general, and I was commanding my division. He approached me, and he also realized, that how to get the mortal remains. He was just telling, give me the ashes, and then the DNA test and all were carried out. Firstly, getting from the Siachen Glacier down, and thereafter to Delhi. I think it took a lot of time. And imagine the poor father or the family members just for given ashes. So these are harsh realities, and you have really touched a very, very important chord, because it is the others also who are involved, and identification. And I think when finally the DNA tests are complete, which will take some time, I think those families would be waiting, and they perhaps may not even be allowed to see what is going to be inside, because the way the parts and all have been so badly mutilated, burned. It's really going to be, but this is what reality is. And in war, people have to at least know it is peacetime. In war, even nothing can be done. We have to just keep taking care of the dead bodies and doing the last rites. So these are harsh realities which we as soldiers accepted. And I think the day we take a pledge to join the Indian Armed Forces, at the back of our mind is, if something happens, then this is the way. So, and that is what keeps a soldier going on. It's really not very, very easy. Vishnu, you have really raised a very, very important aspect, and I may request you, Vishnu, that the kind of coverage given to today Brigade and Litter, and of course deserving coverage, I think once the same thing happens to the other families, who have been associated or killed in this crash, I think if it can be done there also, the whole village where these people belong to, their hearts will swell with proud, and they will again feel so much, because India is not only Delhi and Brar Square. India is, small villages. It will make a real great impact, whether someone is from Kerala, from Bihar, or from Rajasthan, whatever one could see. And some of them are also from the special forces. Since I'm more connected to the special forces, since my both the sons are in the special forces. As a soldier, I feel grief for everyone. And Vishnu, I think our prayers have to be with the group captain Varun. He should survive, because our prayers have to be there, and sometimes the nation's prayer. I think you can also convey this to your channel.
No, I agree.
Sometimes prayers is what moves God, and it will be definitely a miracle, because with 85%, I'm sure he will survive, and he would be a strong soldier. The fact that he has emerged even from this catastrophic accident, I think he will survive. Willpower and the prayers of people will make him through. So all this, Vishnu, what happens is, in the entire army career, these things, and we see so many deaths. I've really seen so many, and of course in Afghanistan, I've not only seen our own deaths, I've seen Afghan deaths and children being mutilated in suicide bombings. and including Rwanda, I was witness to so many killings there as a major UN military officer. I was there way back in 94, 95 when genocide took place. Such mutilated bodies and what all I've seen, sometimes it becomes very difficult, but then it becomes part and parcel of your life. So
Yeah.
I think
Absolutely. And sir, your thoughts on the families of those who've lost their loved ones. In yesterday's ceremony, they were so stoic in, quietly watching these caskets come. Little children, daughters, sons, this is something which the families would know at some level. Certainly the spouses would know that given how actively deployed our armed forces are, something like this can always take place. But you can never really be prepared for it.
yeah, Vishnu, I do agree. No one can be prepared, but sometimes, like today, my both sons are there and I'm retired. Let me tell you very frankly, I have taken a lot of bold risks. Way back in '82, we had undertaken a military operations inside Myanmar.
Yep.
It was a huge operation, and that day I was leading my Jawans. I was just a second lieutenant, and I never felt anything about death. And I just felt कि कुछ हो भी गया तो ठीक है, एक award मिल जाएगा, and at least I will go down in the history. That feeling was there.
Yeah.
But that time you are a youngster. And even during the course of your duties, sometimes the thoughts come. But today my both sons are there. Now let me tell you, me and my wife sometimes feel little scared, and I keep telling my both the sons, Mega, be extremely cautious, because life has to be lived only once, and once anything happens to a person, he is no more. But they tell me, Papa, don't be worried. Aap bhi to youngster the. So sometimes it becomes difficult to control, but this is a harsh reality. Anyone who, especially in the armed forces, they can get shocking news anytime. And a lot of physical casualties also happen during peacetime. When I was the Colonel GS in Siachen Glacier or commanding my brigade in Nathula, I have seen people just dying, sometimes vehicles skidding down the khud and so many things. Some avalanches happen and people just come. And imagine the family may be very happy at home and suddenly they get this, very shocking news. And the whole family, so it's a situation where everyone, I would not say is prepared, but then sometimes in the back of your mind it is there, agar kuch ho jaye. So these are not easy things for a soldier, and many civilian friends have asked me कि यार हम भी मरते हैं, हम तो रोड क्रॉस करते हैं, हमें गाड़ी ठोक देती है. मैंने कहा, then my response is that's an accident. That's an accident.
Yeah.
On road and anything, you are not going willfully to die. Here a soldier is willfully going, I would not say to die, but to take the orders of his superior commanders, to work for the country. And during that time, if something happens, then let me tell you, he just does not hesitate to go and fight, and from any direction a bullet can hit him or anything happen, he is prepared.
Right.
This is what sometimes really I've asked many jawans this question, यार हमें क्यों नहीं डर लगता है मरने से? और वो बोलते हैं, अच्छा, another thing I may like to add, Vishnu, that the spirit of regimentation is what actually keeps the Indian Army alive. Like I was commissioned in one Mahar, I commanded 13 Mahar regiment. So throughout my family is Mahar. So I'm serving with those jawans as a youngster, as a right up to a commanding officer. So everyone who is part of that family, it's a home. We just are ready to do anything because everyone is watching us 24/7. Tomorrow, none of us would like to be called, यार वो तो भाग गया, लड़ाई से भाग गया, वो डरपोक था. And that is what keeps moving. The honor, safety, honor and welfare of your country and of course of your people. Something it moves. This is what the corporate world or the other world has to learn from the armed forces. What is that something which makes them do something? That passion. It cannot be explained, and I've taken a lot of lectures on this, on the army passion. People do get moved at that particular time, the way people would be also getting moved by these scenes. But after a few days, people just forget. I wish these kind of things are imprinted in people's mind, because passion for a job, passion for the nation is what keeps moving the system. So rightfully so, the families, actually, I would not say they wait for the news, but in the back of their mind, sometimes they are ready. Now, who had ever imagined Brigadier Lidda's wife, who's here in Delhi,
Yep.
and imagine they have gone and they expected that the next day they would return. They never expected that this would ever happen. Frankly, she also wouldn't have ever thought, because we can't keep thinking कि इस aircraft में बैठ जाएंगे तो accident हो जाएगा. And all of us face these situations. You know, one has to be lucky to come out alive. I remember once I was commanding my division in Firozpur and we were just in a helicopter, and suddenly we could see darkness all around. The pilot said, "Sir, we have to immediately do forced landing anywhere. 1 second beyond, we will just be in this dust storm." He immediately took a decision and we landed. And the moment we landed, Vishnu, it was such fiery winds that we had to get so many people, villagers, to hold the aircraft before it would have tumbled. But just fraction of a second, he took a correct decision. Otherwise, it would have continued, and little would have just got entangled and lost a life. So what I'm trying to say is, it's not that we are thinking कि ऐसे हो जाएगा, but then accidents, mishaps do occur. That is part and parcel of a service life, and I think we have to live with it. Life goes on, and one thing to be learned is from the parachute special commandos regiment.
Yeah.
Whenever they do the parachute jumps, and God forbid a parachute does not open, and the person just comes like a log, and he obviously dies. You know, the duties, they immediately go for jumps again, because to get rid of the fear psychosis, again they go and jump. So my sons keep telling me, because both of them are in the parachute regiment. So this is what it is. I think so. We tend to live with it. It's part and parcel of life. But yet we are also human beings. We get overcome by emotions. Today, so many times I've had tears in my eyes, because I was so close with General Rawat and his wife. You know, so I'm feeling very teary-eyed also, but at the same time, it's a matter of honor. He's united the country. Great general. I can't even believe that he's just no more. His wife is no more. What a smiling man he was. And
How
Vishnu,
important is it, General Meston, for there to be a public release of the inquiry which takes place? Because this is, people really want to know across the country what went wrong.
Sorry, you said about the inquiry, people would like to know.
Yeah, I'm just saying, shouldn't the inquiry report be made public? Because usually it's not.
Vishnu, actually, it's a very delicate situation. Really, I'm unable to comment on this. Personally, I feel yes, because the way this whole incident has been viewed by the whole nation, everyone would like to know, because the moment you start concealing more rumors will spread. So
All right, General, I'm just interrupting you for a moment, because the casket of General Bipin Rawat, the mortal remains of General Bipin Rawat, are being removed now from the gun carriage. They're being lifted onto the shoulders of those army soldiers over there, and it's being taken inside Brar Square. Let's just listen into what's happening.
കാണാൻ കഴിയുന്നത് എല്ലാവരും എത്തിച്ചേർന്ന് വലുതാ തന്നെ.
Being placed in state at the Brar Square. This is just before the military ceremony actually begins. Last respects will be paid by armed forces personnel and by civilians. There will be a 17-gun salute at a certain stage, and this is going to continue for an hour or so. There would be bugaliers as well who would be playing the last post and other hymns which are inspirational and something which certainly draw a great deal of pride in the armed forces. Many of those here are friends, well-wishers and certainly family members of those who've lost their lives, in this case General Bipin Rawat and his wife. Let's just go back to General Meston. Sir, can you hear me?
Yes, please.
These are very sad images. Mrs. Rawat also killed in this accident. That means they've left behind their two daughters. All of a sudden, this family finds that their support, their umbrella, their parents both have died, and they're both gone. It would be a huge shock which would take a long time for the near and dear ones to get over.
Yeah, Vishnu, definitely a huge shock for the two daughters, and I do not know how they are going to accept this such a huge loss. And we have known the daughters also. We had met them at Pune,
Right.
and they are very nice children again. And let me tell you, the general and his wife and the family, they are so transparent by nature, so honest by nature, because I can vouch for that, seeing them as a principal staff officer in Pune and thereafter, of course, in Delhi. I think very, very honest general. And the daughters, see, two feelings would be there in the daughters. One is obviously the loss of their dear father and dear mother.
Yeah.
But another feeling is a feeling of pride and satisfaction that these two, that is General Rawat and Mrs. Rawat, have been of immense value to the country, including Mrs. Rawat, because she's been a person who has been looking after the Indian Army ladies and so many aspects of education, welfare, so many things. Very graceful couple, very, very graceful couple. And whenever I met General and Mrs. Rawat, I always, felt so good. Mrs. Rawat would especially talk to me and my wife, and sometimes if my wife was not there, she would always ask, "Where is Rekha?" That is a fondness the lady had for us. So the two daughters, they'll also feel little matter of pride that our parents have done something marvelous. They are now become legends. Both General and Mrs. Rawat, they have become iconic figures, and they have also seen what kind of international stature they have. The condolence messages and it's pouring in from all over. And you see today, I saw so many ambassadors.
Yeah, in fact, they're there now, and I wanted to read out a few details on that. Several ambassadors of countries are also actually over there, paying their respects. And that's interesting because there have been international reactions which have actually come in from so many places. So that just goes to show the interest that is there, not just in India but around the world. Sri Lanka General Shavendra Silva, Chief of Defence Staff and Commander of the Sri Lankan Army, has arrived. Admiral Ravindra Chandrasiri Vijayagunaratne, the former Chief of Defence Staff, and his course mate at the National Defence College and a dear friend has arrived. From Bhutan, Brigadier Dorji Rinchen, Deputy Chief Operations Officer of the Royal Bhutan Army is here. From Nepal, Suprabal Janas Sevarashri, Lieutenant General Balkrishna Karki, Chief of General Staff, that's equivalent to the Vice Chief of the Army Staff in our service of the Nepali Army is here. And from Bangladesh, Lieutenant General Wakeru Zaman, Principal Staff Officer of the Armed Forces Division of Bangladesh is here as well. That's really impressive. This is, a show of support from others in uniform across the region. General?
Yeah, Vishnu, absolutely. And I have also been in the Military Intelligence Foreign Division where I was handling all the protocol related issues with the foreigners. As a policy, the ambassadors who are in India, based in India, they are generally interacting with the political top brass and of course the bureaucratic and their counterparts in the diplomatic circles. Never with the armed forces. For the armed forces, it is the respective defense attaches. But today, it is so pleasing to see so many ambassadors. Defense attaches, of course, are there, but so many ambassadors. Even at his house, the 3 Kamraj house were there. And even here, I see some ambassadors are here. So this itself reflects that he was such an iconic figure that ambassadors are representing the presidents of the country. They are the heads. For example, the ambassador of United States is representing the president of United States. So indirectly, it is their heads of states who have come to place the wreaths and play their last obeisance to General and Mrs. Rawat. A great leader. My heart is really so impressed. I wish I've been only saying that if General and Mrs. Rawat would have seen this from somewhere, I think they may be seeing what they would have also been amazed at the respect they have been given by international figures. And what a sight it was today, seeing youngsters running all along right from the house till this place. What love and affection. And he has not attended any political rally in his life. He is not a politician, but yet he is drawn the Indians and from all faiths from all religions. I think this is the hallmark of a true Indian. I can see the daughter sitting there. What must be undergoing in their hearts and mind.
These are his 2 daughters, General Meston, who we just
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And General, just for the benefit of our viewers, how is Brar Square so important to the ethos of the armed forces?
See, firstly, Brar Square is located inside the Delhi cantonment, and it's been managed by Delhi area and of course the Delhi Cantonment Board. So the location is such that all funerals they take place over here only, and especially of military people. I doubt if any other funeral takes place here. So it is relevant and important to us, but I really have not gone into details that why it is really known as Brar Square. I think it's a question worth finding out why the word Brar. Maybe some old general or something, but it is iconic again since it is located within the cantonment and it's always kept so well over there. I had also gone personally when General Sundarji had passed away. He had commanded my own battalion. Of course, I was not even born that time. In 1965, Run of Kutch War, he was a CO. So when he had passed away, I had attended. So Brar Square is of great relevance and significance to the armed forces, and this is the only place where the entire ceremony takes place. Because in outside civil areas, army will also be uncomfortable doing it, and since it is our own area within the cantonment,
Bipin Rawat,
that's the reason we do everything in Brar Square. So
Right.
it is really maintained as a proper place. It's really an honorable
And it's
place.
it's located next to the Delhi War Memorial, which is a
Absolutely.
gorgeous, it's a stunning war memorial from the Second World War.
Absolutely.
It's maintained by the Commonwealth War Graves Association It honors
Yes.
Indian soldiers who were killed in the Second World War. It's one of the most beautiful war memorials in India, actually.
Yes, absolutely true. It is. And they have really maintained the Commonwealth Grave Commission. They are maintaining all the war memorials in India. And I think they are really maintaining it well.
And General, would you, like to share a little bit more about the post of Chief of Defence Staff? The reason I ask is because it is very important now for India to have another Chief of Defence Staff, because the post is important to some of the most crucial decisions in national security in the country.
Vishnu, absolutely right. This post is of great significance in the present context. I can now see General B.K. Singh also there.
Yeah.
What I am trying to highlight, Vishnu, that the relevance of this post has gone up very, very high, especially after General Rawat when he had become the CDS. And since I was his MGOL in Southern Command, that's the only command where we operate price services operations, because the Navy is also there. Let me tell you, I saw in General Rawat a great vision and the kind of coordination and integration he brought about within the three services. So he had that vision. And I think there's some gift to General Rawat that he could understand things, and whether it is pertaining to the Navy, the Air Force, and strategic neighborhood and strategic concepts. So he was so clear. So that is why I think the government of India took a right decision of appointing him the CDS. There was no other person of his caliber. And I do not know how this sudden thing happened. Otherwise, there was so much more to do. Now, see, let me be candid that the CDS is a job where the three services will continue to have their stakes. They would like to maintain their own identity and avoid being merged, because it's a natural tendency. हम आर्मी के तो अलग रहे, एयरफोर्स के हैं. Though they know कि they have to fight jointly, but here a lot of things have to be coordinated. So he was doing it very, very well. Now someone will be appointed CDS. Yes, there is no doubt. One of the persons has to fill his shoes. But Vishnu,
Yep.
I have no hesitation in saying that none of them would be of his caliber. So he will have to really work and sweat, and see, it's not only his hard work. I think the personality matters. He was so easygoing, so easy accessible. He was so, everyone loved him. Even media, I saw him interacting. Media people also were so happy with him.
Yep.
And everyone was quite, in true sense, he was a very open person, he and his wife. So everyone felt good to talk to him, and he would always give an answer, and he would never give a snub to anyone.
Yep.
That's another hallmark. He never snubbed anyone. Otherwise, the easiest way to snub is just avoid a meeting.
Yeah.
So I'm quite sure even whenever you would have sought an interview or NDTV would have tried to meet him, he would have always said, okay, let them come in. And even if you ask tough questions on intrusions or LSC,
Actually, that's true. He never avoided tough questions or anything of the like. General Meston, I believe you have to go across to NDTV India at this stage. We'll come back to you in a little while from now. But we will continue with our coverage over here. What you are seeing are live images coming in from Brar Square. This is where the mortal remains of General Bipin Rawat and of his wife, Mrs. Madhulika Rawat, have been placed in front of you over there. Several from around the world, foreign military dignitaries, foreign ambassadors, they're all paying their respects, as indeed are others over here, people who've known him and who want to pay their last respects to India's first Chief of Defence Staff, who will be cremated after this. There will be a ceremony which takes place, and there'll be a 17-gun salute as well.
आप और हम या बीच में कोई
Brigadier, thanks very much for being with us. Could you tell us a little bit about the ceremony that we see taking place now? Brigadier Datta, can you hear me?
Yeah, Vishnu, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you go ahead and tell us a little bit about, this very solemn ceremony that's taking place now?
Yeah. Since his body has arrived and it came in a gun carriage, which has already been covered, because it is a matter of honor that the gun carriage has been used. It is used for very, very prominent and prestigious people. Last time when it was used was when Brigadier Osman's last journey was undertaken, and that's the time the similar kind of conglomeration was there when people came from all walks of life and all parts of the country. Now the wreath is being laid on the mortal remains of the general, and the various dignitaries, including the Raksha Mantri and various other prominent personalities, will lay the wreath, including the vice chief, the service chiefs, the foreign, the military leaders who have come, the various ministers, Minister of State, and GOC, General Officer Commanding Delhi area, the Western Army Command, and all such people, they'll be laying down their wreaths and pay their homage. And after that, the tricolor will be removed and will be handed over to the next of kin as a mark of respect. The photograph will be handed over and to the next of kin. And once the Guard of Honor, that is Inter-Services Guard of Honor, since he was presenting or he was heading the tri-service organization, that is the Integrated Defence Staff, and I have also been a Deputy Assistant Chief in the Integrated Defence Staff and has worked with him. So all these ceremonies will be done once the Guard of Honor is done. Shok Shastra will be done, where the arms will be reversed, and the silence for 2 minutes will be observed, and then the 17-gun salute will be given in his honor, which is as per the Constitution, which is entitled the service heads or the CDS in this particular case.
Yeah. And we see former service chiefs as well sitting over there.
Yeah, we can see General V.K. Singh, who's also a minister in the present government. All the former service chiefs have also been invited from all the three services.
I wonder if the Prime Minister would be present. I doubt it after he was present yesterday at the airport when the mortal remains arrived in Delhi.
Yeah, Vishnu, I think he has already paid his homage and respect to the departed general and to the other martyrs who laid their life in this crash. And I doubt, because then there are a lot of protocol issues also involved with the Prime Minister as well.
So stay with us. I'm going to go across to NDTV's Arvind Gunasekara, who's also with us. Arvind, give us an idea of what's expected now.
Vishnu, the mortal remains of General Bipin Rawat and his wife Madhulika Rawat reached the Brar Square, that is the cremation ground here in cantonment area, somewhere close to 3:40 p.m. Though the original schedule was 3:30 p.m., but because of the people outpouring support, love and respect from people all around, it took some time to reach here. So it came here, the mortal remains reached here somewhere around 3:40 p.m. And now what we are seeing is the earth laying ceremony that's currently underway by the family members and also the VVIP dignitaries. Earlier the statement said that the foreign dignitaries from 4 countries, from Nepal, Sri Lanka, Bhutan and Bangladesh will be here, but what we saw is a dozen of foreign dignitaries. They have also arrived here to pay their respect to General Bipin Rawat and his wife Madhulika Rawat. What we also saw was the Law Minister Kiran Rijiju also coming here, and also the retired chiefs of all the 3 defense services, they have also come here. So the wreath laying ceremony is currently underway. So from 4:15 to 4:30 p.m. the family rituals will take place, after which we can see the lighting of the pyre by the family members, and with the 17-gun salute this ceremony will be over. So the wreath laying ceremony is currently underway, Vishnu.
What time will the pyre be lit with the gun salute?
4:45, Vishnu, that's the time that has been given as per the schedule, but because the arrival also got delayed by 10 minutes from 3:30 to 3:40, we can expect here the lighting of the pyre also somewhere around 4:45 to 5 p.m.
to carry on with what you were telling us, sir. We are seeing lots of former chiefs over here, a couple of ministers as well, those who are now with the government, and senior armed forces officers giving a final farewell, a salute to the Chief of Defence Staff. Gino, just one point I think I've been making, and perhaps you'd like to reflect on that, is that while we see this wonderful military ceremony over here, let's spare a thought for the families of those killed in the helicopter crash whose mortal remains haven't been identified at all. That's proving to be very difficult, Brigadier Datta.
Vishnu, actually the army authorities, they want to ensure that the right body is handed over to the right families or to the NOKs. So the DNA testing is being done, and the family members have been asked, and once the DNA is confirmed and the authentication has been done, the bodies have been handed over. Like in case of Wing Commander Prithvi, the body has been identified and it has been handed over, and it has already reached Agra, and the Honorable Chief Minister of UP, Yogi Adityanath, is attending the funeral ceremony there in Agra. So the army authorities, as they are known for their meticulous job, they don't want to have any kind of sorry state at a later date where there is any exchange, because bodies have been, some of them have been charred beyond recognition, or they have been in a state where recognition is not possible. So the base hospital, the medical authorities are working on it, and as soon as the bodies are being identified, they are being handed over to the NOKs, and a similar and a befitting military honors will be given to them also, because they also died in harness and in the call of duty, and they will be representative by senior military officers, the respective people from the government, and various other important dignitaries.
Right. And so let's talk a little bit about the reform that General Bipin Rawat was leading. How important is that for the future of the Indian Armed Forces?
Vishnu, it was very important that the kind of contours which were now being read. The tactical battle area has undergone a tremendous change, and since he was the vice chief who also deals with a lot of financial allocations and sub-allotment in the army, and later on then he rose to become the chief of the army staff. So he understood the financial nuances and the apportionment of these funds. And he realized that a large chunk was going to the pay and allowances and on the manpower. And he realized that if we have to modernize the Indian Army or the defense forces, we have to cut down on manpower. And if you have to cut down on manpower, and that's a very, very sensitive issue in a country which is also a welfare state, where employment is one of the key factors, or a election winning factor, if I can use the word. Yeah.
Well, so, joining us now, Lieutenant General Subroto Saha. He's a member of the National Security Advisory Board, and somebody who's been a course mate of General Bipin Rawat in the past. Sir, this must be an incredibly sad, day for you, not just because of the loss to the nation, but it's a personal loss to you, a loss of a friend.
Yeah, Vishnu, it's a terrible personal loss. In fact, this morning when I went across to his house, it was very, very difficult to, go through that. And then when I met the family members, it was still worse. And like you said, what a loss to the nation and personal loss. But then I firmly believe for what he has done for the country, and for what will still come out of the initiatives that he was, involved in.
Yeah,
he is a person who would have contributed for many, many years as we go into the future.
Yeah,
I think it is that solace.
What is your first memory of General Bipin Rawat, General Saha?
Well, as cadets in India, some very happy moments, some very tough moments, and I also recall, he had an unfortunate fracture, and how boldly with that he would never get deterred by the plaster which he was wearing. I mean, despite that, everything conceivable he would do it, to the best of his ability. So that was, Bipin for us. I mean, he's always been like that. Small things never ever deterred him.
Yeah, and the reforms that he has now been a part of, how are they absolutely crucial for the future of our armed forces?
You see, now the way the warfare is evolving, right now, if you ask me very frankly, it has become critical. We should have done this at least, at least 30, 40 years back. The last time by ad hoc means and by very good personalities at the helm, we achieved such a fine integration in the 1971 war. And when I say fine integration, I speak of the military and also between the military, the diplomacy, the political leadership. What we saw in 71 was ultimate. But frankly, that impetus, somehow it got lost, and now we are doing it literally on critical mode, when beyond the Army, Navy, Air Force, we are talking about cyber, we are talking about space, we are seeing how we are having to deal with irregular warfare alongside conventional warfare, before, after conventional warfare. So therefore, I think it is absolutely critical that these reforms are pushed and taken to their, logical future as we go ahead.
Yeah, no, absolutely. They have to be pushed. It's so sad, this helicopter crash that took place. And so, your thoughts for the families of the others who've lost their lives?
I can imagine what they must be going through, and see how tough it is for them, for the manner in which unfortunately the mortal remains are remaining that it is taking. It is quite a challenge to even make a distinction between one and the other. See, one is this terrible loss of their lives, and the other is, even with this, of the mortal remains. And look at that group captain, who went through so much, got a Shaurya Chakra. Look at the way he's battling for his life. I mean, imagine, it is such a shock. As a nation, we have lost so much. As individual families, we have lost so much. It is really, really heart-rending. I mean, it's very, very bad.
General Sahar, this is something that, civilians just don't get to understand. How do you, when you're in uniform, deal with the fact that if there is a war or an accident or something takes place, not being able to identify mortal remains is actually something that tragically happens quite frequently?
Yes, very right. In the good old days, we used to have something called the identification disc,
Really?
2 little discs that would be tied to the hand of the soldier when we went to war. Assuming that one disc would be kept for records in the office and the other one would travel along with the mortal remains. So from then, of course, now we have all kinds of modern facilities like, DNA testing and data maintenance and all. On this point, I think we have to actually take note of this fact and start maintaining good DNA records. I mean, for example, if you have good dental records, every year every soldier goes through dental inspection. If you digitize those dental records, this challenge would be much simplified, in a situation like this. So this is something which we must take note of and, improve as we go into the future.
The Defence Minister Rajnath Singh paying his respects. Let's just listen in. The final journey of General Bipin Rawat, the last rites ceremony taking place right now, with the Defence Minister paying his last thoughts. The Defence Minister sharing for General Bipin Rawat, somebody who he's worked with very, very closely over the last couple of years. He's spending a lot of time over there. It's a difficult moment for the Defence Minister, quite obviously. Even yesterday, he reached out to family members. He was there when the casket with the mortal remains arrived, and he's here at Brar Square this afternoon.
हम देख रहे हैं अब उनके बाकी सभी को जाया जाएगा किया जा रहा है यहाँ पर रखा गया
All right, we just saw the Defence Minister Rajnath Singh paying his tribute to the Chief of Defence Staff. We'll expect others as well who will be coming forward to pay their respects. The Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal there on your screen offering his condolences. General Rawat's daughters, I believe, over there on the right hand side of the screen over there, paying their respects. The family members of General Bipin Rawat there on the screen. I believe the daughters are there as well, paying their respects. The mortal remains arrived a little while earlier on here at Brar Square at Delhi Cantonment. The final rituals will take place, and in a short while from now, the cremation itself will take place with a 17-gun salute. That ceremony now appears to be set to begin any time now. Funeral pyre that you saw, where the mortal remains will be shifted in a little while from now. Two daughters of General Bipin Rawat and Madhulika Rawat lost both their parents day before yesterday. And you know, we've seen this, we've seen their poise today and yesterday in what must be perhaps their most difficult experience in their lives. Your thoughts?
Is it for me?
Yes,
Vishnu?
sir, go ahead.
Yeah. This is the most tragic, experience which they must have undergone, because no child will ever think that the parents, will leave in such a manner. And definitely not General Bipin Rawat, because he has dodged, the death so many times when he was in counterinsurgency operations area. He had a narrow escape, and when he was a corps commander in 3 Corps, he had another chopper crash from where he also came out. And being a infantry officer, a number of times he has faced such close shaves. This was certainly not expected, and the route and the terrain was also not very inhospitable. And when the crash took place, it was just about 6-7 minutes short of Wellington, which is where the VIPs they keep coming. And the route is known to the comm squadron or the VIP squadron, which is based in Sulu. So, it is just unfortunate that this accident took place, and these girls, I'm sure they are feeling that heavens have come on them, because both parents just leaving them totally, without any umbrella of family is a very testing time. And I am sure, because they are daughters of General Bipin Rawat, who's has lived like a tiger. I'm sure they will take this the right spirit, and like what we saw Brigadier Lither's daughter, Ashna Lither, telling that I'm not going to cry, tears are not going to come, because and when good one thing which she told was that in a book when General Rawat had written that they worked as a team and they laid their life as a team.
Yeah.
I'm sure they will take a clue from them, and they are going to follow the same suit. That yes, they will be mentally strong and emotionally strong as well.
Yeah. Air Marshal Pandey, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can hear you.
So could you just share your thoughts on what you're seeing on your screen right now as this final ritual, it's a short ceremony, has taken place with the family and the two daughters?
I am not in a position to view any screen at the moment. I am outside. Tell me.
Would you share your thoughts on the loss of General Bipin Rawat?
Well, I think a lot has already been said, and all I can say is that it was a disaster for not only the service but for the country itself. After all, General Bipin Rawat was the first Chief of Defence Staff. This is the first time that an officer of the armed forces has been appointed in this position, and he was doing a great job.
Right.
And he had taken on a major task of restructuring the armed forces, which is not easy. And sadly, with his loss, this job is half done, or not fully done. And his successor will have to start from the beginning, because sadly the problem is that there is nobody left to brief him on this.
Yeah, Air Marshal, I'm just interrupting you now, and thanks for joining us, because the mortal remains are now being shifted to the funeral pyre. Let's just listen in.
Excuse madam. Side, sir, please.
जनरल बिपिन रावत के अंतिम संस्कार का आखिरी पड़ाव, जहां उनके पार्थिव शरीर को अग्नि को समर्पित किया जाना है। हिंदू धर्म के प्रमुख संस्कारों में शामिल है अंत्येष्टि क्रिया यानी अंतिम संस्कार। संस्कार यानी जीवन के विभिन्न चरणों में किए जाने वाले धार्मिक कर्मकांड। और हिंदू मान्यता के अनुसार जीवन के विभिन्न संस्कारों में से आखिरी संस्कार को ही अंत्येष्टि क्रिया कहा जाता है। और इस वक्त जनरल बिपिन रावत का अंतिम संस्कार किया जा रहा है। उनके परिजनों के द्वारा उन्हें मुखाग्नि दी जाएगी।
उससे क्या कर रहा है?
जनरल बिपिन रावत और उनकी पत्नी मधुलिका रावत का पार्थिव शरीर जिसे बरार स्क्वायर लेके आया गया। जनरल बिपिन रावत का पार्थिव शरीर जो तिरंगे में लिपटा हुआ ताबूत में था, अब उसे ताबूत से बाहर निकाला गया है। उनकी पत्नी मधुलिका रावत का भी अंतिम संस्कार, जिसके लिए उनका शरीर भी ताबूत से, उनका पार्थिव शरीर ताबूत से बाहर निकाला गया है और अब से कुछ ही पलों में उन्हें मुखाग्नि दी जाएगी। जनरल रावत के परिजन जो यहाँ उपस्थित हैं, जो उनके अंत्येष्टि क्रिया के मुख्य संस्कारों के तहत अब उनको मुखाग्नि देंगे। उनके शरीर को अग्नि को समर्पित किया जाएगा। रक्षा मंत्री राजनाथ सिंह, उत्तराखंड के मुख्यमंत्री पुष्कर धामी जो यहाँ उपस्थित हैं। जनरल बिपिन रावत की दो बेटियां जिन्होंने अंतिम संस्कार की सारी प्रक्रिया को में हिस्सा लिया है और अब उन्हीं के द्वारा इस धार्मिक कर्मकांड को, अंत्येष्टि क्रिया को पूरा किया जाएगा। भारत के मित्र देशों के वरिष्ठ सैन्य अधिकारी भी इस अवसर पर यहाँ मौजूद हैं। जनरल बिपिन रावत, जिन्होंने सभी पड़ोसी देशों के साथ जिनके अच्छे संबंध रहे, जनरल बिपिन रावत जिन्होंने सेना में रहते हुए कई महत्वपूर्ण मिशन को अंजाम दिया, जिनसे पड़ोसी देश भी जुड़े हुए थे और आज उनकी देशभक्ति, उनकी देश सेवा के भाव और उनके समर्पण की भावना को ही देश सलाम कर रहा है। देश के पहले सीडीएस जनरल बिपिन रावत, जिनका दिल्ली में इस वक्त पूर्ण सैन्य सम्मान के साथ अंतिम संस्कार किया जा रहा है। पूरा देश नम आँखों से अपने इस वीर सेनानायक को अंतिम विदाई दे रहा है। तिरंगे की शान के लिए अपना जीवन समर्पित करने वाले माँ भारती के वीर सपूत, जिन्होंने देश के लिए, देश सेवा के लिए, देशभक्ति के लिए अपना पूरा जीवन लगा दिया। रहेगा अमर सदा बलिदान, युग युग तक देश कहेगा जय हो अमर जवान। बलिदान तुम्हारा ये देश कभी ना भूल पाएगा, याद करेगा तुमको और वंदे मातरम गाएगा। अमर रहेगी ए वीर तुम्हारी अमर कहानी, युग युग तक गूंजेगी तुम्हारी गाथा ए वीर बलिदानी। कर दिया तन मन न्यौछावर अपना, करने को पूरा सबका सपना, दे रहा पूरा भारत तुमको सलामी। अमर रहेगी ए वीर तुम्हारी अमर कहानी। देश के प्रथम चीफ ऑफ डिफेंस स्टाफ जनरल बिपिन रावत, जिनका अंतिम संस्कार नई दिल्ली के बरार स्क्वायर में किया जा रहा है। जब जब त्याग और बलिदान का जिक्र होगा, जब जब देश के प्रति जीने का जिक्र होगा, जब जब देशभक्ति की बात होगी, तब तब जनरल बिपिन रावत को भी ज़रूर याद किया जाएगा, जिनके लिए देश और देशभक्ति सर्वोपरि रही। देश सुरक्षा के लिए उन्होंने अपना सब कुछ दांव पर लगा दिया, पूरा जीवन देश के लिए जिया। देशभक्ति का सबक अपने पिता से सीखते हुए जब वो सेना में शामिल हुए, तब से लेकर अब तक उन्होंने अपना सारा जीवन सिर्फ देश के लिए जिया। जब जब जो जिम्मेदारी उन्हें दी गई, उसका निर्वहन उन्होंने अपनी पूरी क्षमता के साथ किया, और यही कारण है कि हर मिशन में वो सफल रहे। अपने रणनीतिक कौशल, अपने जज्बे से उन्होंने देश की सुरक्षा को हर मायने में सुनिश्चित किया। चीफ ऑफ डिफेंस स्टाफ बनने के बाद भी जो जिम्मेदारी उन्हें दी गई, पिछले 2 सालों में उन्होंने उसका बखूबी निर्वहन किया। चीफ ऑफ डिफेंस स्टाफ के तौर पर जो लक्ष्य हासिल करना है वो छोटा नहीं है, लेकिन उसे हासिल करने के लिए उन्होंने हर स्तर पर प्रयास किए। एक मजबूत आधार दिया चीफ ऑफ डिफेंस स्टाफ के पद को भी, और चीफ ऑफ डिफेंस स्टाफ के आगे आने वाले कार्यों को भी।
अमुक नाम लेता अपने पूज्य बेटे पापा का मम्मी का नाम लेके इसे ब्रह्मता रुद्रसा पत्र भाषा पंचमाली तपोपनिषद आगे जो बेटा नाम के पास में हरि ओम प्रभु परमेश्वर महाविष्णु की बात करें आत्मा से महात्मा से सर्वम नाम अपना नाम अमुक नाम अपने पूज्य का मम्मी पापा का नाम ले बुद्ध का उच्चारण शिशु नाम किया उससे भाषा अंदर जाऊंगा तो केवल अमुक नाम प्रेता एवं पूजया अपने पूज्य बेटे पापा मम्मी का नाम लेता रोजसा देवती पंचमाली तपो प्रतिष्ठा संजोगी मास आगे है भाई पूजा का हरिओम महाप्रो विग्रहासुभासंगोरी समरे मोरी कासे संके याका तुम मोके विकासा यज्ञ का कोशिमाते जगम प्रतिहाजा दातो नमन कुदा संसारना कुपरे शुणमा मोकिदा जगम नम तेजादा रोरातन सुगाय नम दिवा शुणमा मोकिदा भजन ते पितृ देवनमा पंजतन देवना ओम अस्वावनं त्रिपुरं नमः इनमें से रघुगमातं पंचदेवं का पुरुषवर्गं प्रति नमः ये लो शेयर थोड़ा थोड़ा ओम मधुवादातं प्रदेयादात्मा प्रदेयामधुवां गम्मासं पृथ्वी नमः मस्त भाषण चंद्रम एक मुख्य पांडव मुख भाषण चंद्रम छाती करो छाती करो आदि करो
अनुराग देखिए किस तरह से जो अनुराग देखिए पार्थिव शरीर के ऊपर जो हिंदू रिचुअल्स के हिसाब से हम देखते हैं कि चंदन की लकड़ियाँ और पंचद्रव्य को अर्पित किया जाता है और वो किया जा रहा है पहले पंचद्रव्य को अर्पित करना और खासतौर से चंदन की लकड़ियों के साथ साथ अक्षत और पवित्र हम कहें कि चीज़ों को अर्पित करने का जो प्राचीन परंपरा है उसका निर्वाह यहाँ पर किया जा रहा है। तो इसमें आप देखिए कि परिवार और परिजनों के साथ साथ जो है सैन्य अधिकारी खुद शामिल हो रहे हैं। एक ऐसा क्षण, एक ऐसा पल है ये जो आप कहिए कि बता रहा है कि किस तरह से विषम परिस्थिति में भी धैर्य को न खोते हुए अपने आप को संभालते हुए समय के साथ चलना, ये एक भारतीय परंपरा है, ये भारत की सेना की परंपरा है, ये भारत की सेना का बल है। और इसी बल के साथ जो है इस वक्त हर कमांडर दिखाई दे रहा है, सेना के जो सर्वोच्च अधिकारी हैं वो दिखाई दे रहे हैं। सबसे बड़ी बात की दोनों बेटियां दिखाई दे रही हैं, जिन्होंने अपनी माँ और पिता को खोया है, माँ पिता का साया उठ चुका है, लेकिन दृढ़ता के साथ एकदम साहस के साथ वक्त के हम कहें संभव को संभाले हैं और हम यहाँ पर लिए जा रहे हैं। तो ये बेहद आउट करने वाला क्षण है और दिल को काफ़ी हम कहें कि संवेदना करने वाला क्षण है। आंखों में लोगों के आंसू यहाँ पर भारी संख्या में मौजूद हैं। अब भावनाएं देखी जा रही है। तेरे अपने पैरा दे या मार लो कड़ा दी या अपना मार। बिल्कुल अब वो पल आ गया है जब इनको आगे दिया जा रहा है। हम देख रहे हैं कि आगे देने के साथ जो लकड़ियाँ हैं खासतौर पे जो कि पार्थिव शरीर पर अर्पित की जाती हैं वो की जा रही हैं और उसमें परिजनों के साथ साथ भारी संख्या में सैन्य बल जो है वो दिखाई दे रहा है। यानी मतलब आप देखिए अब तोपों की आवाज़ सुनाई देने लगी, सलामी शुरू हो चुकी है हमारे ठीक पीछे। उसके बाद जो है हम आगे का रिचुअल यहाँ पर देख रहे हैं। अभी सत्रह की सलामी यहाँ पर दी गई और साथ ही सेना की तरफ से सैन्य सम्मान के साथ जहाँ पर अंतिम विदाई अपने नेतृत्व को दिया जा रहा है। ये ऐसा भाव कर देने वाला क्षण है जिसकी कल्पना हम कह सकते हैं कि नहीं की जा सकती, पर यह हकीकत इस वक्त दिखाई दे रहा है। इस वक्त देखिए कि दोनों बेटियाँ जहाँ पिता के साथ ही मौजूद हैं और उनको बड़ी बेटी जो है वो हाथ में देखी कि किस तरह से हम मुझे लगता है कि ये घी का पात्र है जो उनको दिया गया है और दोनों बेटियां साथ साथ हैं और उसी में उस वक्त अग्नि जो है अर्पित की जा रही है। और अब मुखाग्नि बेटियाँ यहाँ पर देखी आप देखिए कि यहाँ पर अग्नि जो है वो प्रकट की है और इसी प्रकट अग्नि को हाथ में लिए दोनों बेटियाँ यहाँ पर मौजूद हैं। दोनों बेटियाँ अपने माँ और पिता को इस वक्त आप देखिए मंत्रोच्चारण के साथ इस वक्त पिता के तरफ जो है वो प्रवेश करते हुए और पिता को इस वक्त उनकी परिक्रमा करते हुए दिखाई दे रही हैं और पार्थिव शरीर के चारों तरफ परिक्रमा करने के बाद जो है वो मुखाग्नि का यहाँ पर हम देखेंगे कि प्रक्रिया है वो पूरी की जाएगी। और इस वक्त मंत्रोच्चारण के साथ दोनों बेटियाँ जो हैं वो पिता के परिक्रमा में इस वक्त दिखाई दे रही हैं। ये हाथ में पिता के अग्नि को लेकर किसी बेटी को इस तरह से चलना और तब जबकि माँ और पिता दोनों का साया उठ चुका है, दारोमदार अपने कंधों पर है और अपना जो पल हम देख रहे हैं ये अपने आप में सहेजना आँखों में बेहद मुश्किल भरा है। दूसरी तरफ देखिए कि सैन्य सम्मान के साथ अपने सीडीएस की विदाई जो है वो देती हुई यहाँ पर भारतीय सेना दिखाई दे रही है। दुश्मनों की सलामी हमने देखा, सैनिकों की सलामी वो दी गई और उसके बाद पूरा कपड़ा देखते हैं वो देखा जा रहा है। तो सीडीएस की अंतिम विदाई में इस वक्त जिस तरह से पूरा देश जो है वो गमजदा है, सबकी आँखें नम हैं और इस तरह देख रहे हैं कि किस तरह से बेटी आपकी माता और आखिरी पल है अपने योद्धा की विदाई का, महायोद्धा की विदाई का जो भारतीय इतिहास में अपने गौरव की गाथा लिखकर जाता हुआ दिखाई दे रहा है। और ये पिता की अग्नियाँ कुछ ही हम कहें कि वक्त के साथ इनको खुदा कराते हुए भारत मिट्टी में अर्पित कर देंगे और यही प्रकृति का चक्र है, यही प्रकृति का नियम है। लेकिन प्रकृति के चक्र प्रकृति के नियम में कुछ वीर जो इतिहास लिख देते हैं जिन्हें सदियाँ याद रखती हैं, ऐसा इतिहास हमारे आप करके देखें अगर
तो भाई साहब इधर हो जाओ थोड़ा सा।
India's first Chief of Defence Staff, General Bipin Rawat, and his wife, Madhulika Rawat, being cremated with military honours. His daughter lighting the funeral pyre. Before that, the tri-service buglers playing the last post and the rouse. General Rawat was also given a 17-gun salute as per protocol. A total of 800 service personnel in attendance. There were also senior military commanders from neighbouring countries like Sri Lanka, Bhutan, Nepal and Bangladesh, and of course politicians cutting across party lines also present at the funeral. Messages of grief have been coming in from many other countries. Earlier, military personnel from all three branches of the service, Army, Navy and the Air Force, marching along his gun carriage as drummers played a tribute to India's top defence official. Arvind joining us now from the Brar Square Crematorium in Delhi Cantonment. Arvind, a solemn farewell to General Rawat and his wife. Things concluding now?
Yeah, Ankita, India's first Chief of Defence Staff, that is General Bipin Rawat, and his wife Madhulika Rawat, both of them have been laid to rest here in the Brar Square in Delhi Cantonment area. The entire ceremony is finally over. The funeral ceremony is over with 17 gun salute. So almost 800 service personnel, they were present in this ceremony. From also Defence Minister was also here, and also Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal also here. So several dignitaries from several countries. Earlier the army had said that at least foreign dignitaries from 4 countries, from Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh and Sri Lanka would be here, would be present in the funeral. But what we saw is a dozen foreign dignitaries also come here for the funeral. So the funeral is finally over. We can expect the family members and other dignitaries, other defence dignitaries to come out anytime now. The Defence Minister is still inside, also the Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal. So shortly from now we can expect the family members and others to come out because the funeral is over here.
Right, Arvind, in a departure from tradition, you could say, but proud daughters clearly there, devastating grief, moment of devastating grief for them as they lit the funeral pyre for their parents who must have meant the world to them. But the daughters doing it, would you say that was significant?
Yeah, Ankita, both the daughters did the final rites for their parents, General Bipin Rawat and his wife Madhulika Rawat. So that's a thing that we saw. It's a very touching scene that what we witnessed here in Brar Square, which is again an iconic place where several senior defence personnel.
We're seeing senior dignitaries now leaving Brar Square. The Defence Minister, the Finance Minister, all now exiting. So presumably the formal ceremony now concluding. Yes, Arvind, do carry on.
Yeah, what we are seeing now is Defence Minister Rajnath Singh coming out. Also Amos, the junior minister in defence, he is also coming out along with Rajnath Singh, and also the chief of all three services, Army Chief, Navy Chief and also Air Force Chief, all were present here. And also a Delhi Chief Minister who was also here throughout the ceremony, he is also stepping out now. So we can expect the family members also to come out. So again, speaking about this Brar Square, this is again a very iconic place where General Rawat, General Bipin Rawat, who was the first Chief of Defence Staff, he was given military honour and he was finally laid to rest here. What we are also seeing here is the Uttarakhand Chief Minister is also here, and also Rajyavardhan Singh Rathod, the former Union Minister, is also here. So not just the dignitaries, not just the foreign diplomats or the foreign dignitaries and the service personnel here, but along the route from Kamraj Marg to Delhi Cantonment area, throughout that entire stretch, what we witnessed was huge outpouring of support and love from people, public here. The entire stretch of road was filled with people on both the sides of the road with the outpouring love and support, and also as a mark of respect for the India's first Chief of Defence Staff. So the ceremony is finally over here. All the dignitaries have come out, and shortly the family members will also come out here. Ankita?
Rajavardhan Singh Rathore was, of course, at Brigadier Lidder's cremation earlier this morning also, Arvind, and in fact he spoke about someone who had been his batchmate and his compatriot at the National Defence Academy. The two went back a long time. Brigadier Lidder, of course, General Rawat's top aide. Arvind?
Yeah, Ankita, even in the afternoon also, yeah, Ankita, like in the morning, even in the afternoon, Rajav Singh Rathore came somewhere close to 2:30 p.m. itself, while the mortal remains of General Bipin Rawat and his wife arrived here at Brar Square only at around 3:40. Though the schedule was for the convoy to reach here by 3:30 p.m., but because of a huge crowd along the road from Kamaraj Marg to Delhi Cantonment area, that's why it took a bit of time to reach here. So the mortal remains reached here only by 3:40, but almost all these dignitaries, including foreign dignitaries, also came well ahead in advance. They came well early and they waited for the entire ceremony. So it shows the respect that India commands, not just in the neighboring countries. It's not just the neighboring countries like Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh and Sri Lanka where the foreign dignitaries came for this funeral, but also from across several continents, the foreign dignitaries came for this event. It shows that the command that India holds and also the respect that they have for India's first Chief of Defence Staff, General Bipin Rawat. What we are all seeing on our screen is some family members of some senior army personnel. They also came here, and what we also saw was retired chiefs, army, also navy and also air force chief. They also came here to pay their respect for India's first Chief of Defence Staff. We also saw V.K. Singh, who is currently a Union Minister. He was also here. So it's a huge crowd with utmost respect, with full military honor. Both General Bipin Rawat and his wife Madhulika Rawat, both of them have been laid to rest here in this iconic Brar Square.
Right, Arvind, we've just been seeing the top armed forces personnel also signing the condolence book that's been kept over there. So tributes continuing to pour in. Arvind, you were talking about the crowds earlier in the day, both at the residence of General Rawat, just ordinary citizens also crowding outside his house. A few of them managed to even go inside and pay their last respects. But as the funeral procession was making its way, there were many more lining the roads as well, displaying the national tricolour, chanting slogans. It's been quite a send-off.
Yeah, Ankita, throughout that stretch from Kamaraj Marg to this cantonment area, we saw, because we came through the same road and we saw people fill streets on both the sides of the road, on either side of the road, with flowers in their hands, with placards in their hand, holding the national flag, raising slogans. Even here in the cremation ground, near the cremation ground, the locals also came from in and around area here, though they were not allowed inside because this is a restricted event as per the military protocol. But despite that, despite knowing that they won't be allowed inside, they came here to witness this funeral. That shows the respect that they have for India's first Chief of Defence Staff, General Bipin Rawat. But what is again very, very important, the task in the hands of Army, also the two other defence forces, both Air Force and Navy, is to expedite the process of positively identifying the other 9 mortal remains, because 9 mortal remains are yet to be positively identified. Those remains, that particular process have to be completed, and then their mortal remains have to be given to their family members. So that particular task is still underway, but again an uphill task in the hands of the government to find the successor for General Bipin Rawat, because as India's first Chief of Defence Staff, General Bipin Rawat had several visionary ideas regarding the integration and also coordination between all the 3 different forces. So the successor for General Bipin Rawat, it will be an uphill task for him or for her to fill the shoes of this particular general, that is Bipin Rawat.
Arvind, thanks so much for joining us with those latest details. Wing Commander Anuma Acharya, retired former Air Force officer, is with me as we see these closing moments of that solemn funeral. Chief of Defence Staff, General Bipin Rawat, being laid to rest along with his wife, Madhulika Rawat. Full military honours, a 17-gun salute, 800 service personnel in attendance, elaborate arrangements to say farewell to India's top defence official. Wing Commander Anuma Acharya, your thoughts as this solemn ceremony wraps up?
I have a mixed feeling, mixed emotions, very emotional as a matter of pride as well. When I saw both the girls doing the final rituals, I was absolutely emotional, and my heart goes out to their family as well as the family of others who have lost their lives. All I can say is this country and the people respect the people of the armed forces. They have utmost respect for them, and which was quite exhibited today when we saw the final rituals of the general.
Wing Commander Anuma Acharya, as we see these cremations taking place, we do have to really spare a thought for those families who haven't received the bodies of their loved ones yet, because identification has been so difficult. In fact, 9 bodies still not identified. So that process continues.
I'm sure that will also happen soon, because I got to know that Squadron Leader K. Singh's body will be taken to Rajasthan near Jhunjhunu, and his cremation will take place there. And Wing Commander P.S. Chauhan's body will be taken to Agra. This is what we have heard from people. And of course, this will be a long waiting time for the near and dear ones of the families who are still waiting for recognition of the bodies in the military hospital.
Wing Commander Anuma Acharya, thank you very much for being with us.